because usually for the turkey, it'll probably end up cooling down after about 2 hours. So you gotta like find a way to keep it like pretty high. And then what I was gonna do is put it in the oven like right before the event, just to make sure that everything was on point before we put it into the shaping dishes. So that's good. So I'm like, we really on point with time. And so the next thing I did was take the mashed potatoes and I put those on top of the stove, and I had 2 pots. So I want to make sure that I could have as many potatoes as I could going, because I had to put some of them into a pan for the vegan potatoes and put most of them into the pan for the regular potatoes. So that's cooking. And the next thing, as soon as the turkey's done, I'm like, I can go ahead and put the chicken into the oven. So I already had the chicken prepped. So I had those into like a large aluminum pan. I had the wingettes, I had the drumettes, and then I think those were the main pieces. I had a few flats. Put those into the oven. So I'm like, man, we right on time. So at this point, I think it's around like 3:45, 4. So I'm like, it's about 2.5 hours into the event. I can get the icing done for my cakes hella fast. The mac and cheese ain't gonna take but much time. The noodles are already done. Just got like that cheese bake, and then she was gonna do the string beans, and then she had already finished her seafood mac and cheese, and she just had to do like the cornbread dressing and all that. So by this point, like all we need is about like another hour and a half, and we good. Next thing, we just put everything into the oven, because then it's just gonna warm all the pieces up, and we're gonna be right pretty much maybe 30 minutes before or at the point of the event starting will be good. So that's what we're thinking. Man, this is where everything just kind of turned loose. So put the chicken into the oven. I had already, at this point, my other mashed potatoes had already finished cooking through. So I was able to mash those, and I had a lot of potatoes. So I'm like, man, once I finish this other pot over here, we're going to be smooth. The potatoes is finished. So mash those up. Potatoes is looking good. I'm like, man, this is we in the zone. The next thing I know, I look at this oven, and the oven keeps on beeping. So I'm like, something's just kind of off. Like, is this like a setting on the oven? Because sometimes like for a refrigerator, if you leave it open, it would keep beeping. Or the only other time that an oven may beep is if you are using the timer. So I'm like, I didn't use a timer. Like, I'm kind of curious of what's going on. So oven kept beeping. It said that the timer was on. I was like, I kept turning the timer off, and I'm like, something just kind of seemed weird. Like, this don't make no sense. Next thing I know, SE pops up on the Samsung oven. And so when I said it to the ladies, they were like, SE? You mean SC? Like self-clean? I was like, no, this is SE. And so I get into my phone, I'm looking it up online, and it says that SE means some type of malfunction with the keys that you're pressing. So I said, okay, this must be just something where you can just, take the cord out of the wall and just, restart the oven or whatever. And I take the cord out of the wall, and mind you, when this happened, the oven was still pretty warm, but the stove was still working. So I make sure to turn off all the stove tops. So when I took the cord out, I'm like, okay, put it back in. It's like, oh, okay, it's good. Everything's restarting. Man, at this point, the stovetop still works, but the buttons don't work. So what's probably happened is that the heat from the oven and then from the stovetop has probably somehow went to the back of the oven and malfunctioned the key somehow because it's too hot. So I was like, man, this is the worst timing ever, because the chicken it's already been in there for a little minute, but it's not anywhere close to done. And now we gotta do the mac and cheeses and everything. So I'm like, how are we gonna be able to complete this food? We're on time. Everything had been smooth. People were, telling us that they were gonna be showing up like a little bit later. But besides that, we still were gonna be able to have everything on time. When this happened, that's when all hell broke loose. Because we like, this messed up the flow for everything. So my friend, she's, hitting up the maintenance people, going off on them. We're trying to figure this all out, because we're like, especially if we have an apartment, like, why is this happening? Like, this doesn't make sense for somebody's thing just to go out, or oven just to go out, especially at this time when we have an event going on. So fast forward, after just like that craziness, it's probably like an hour and a half that this goes on. So this is setting us back an hour and a half. And so y'all can only imagine if you already been on pace and then you have people coming in at 6:30 and you still haven't had the chicken done yet, you still got the mac and cheese and everything else, like you're gonna be behind at this point. So luckily, but still it was crazy with the timing that the maintenance people, they were able to let us use a vacant property, a vacant apartment to be able to finish the food. But at this point, it's like I ain't even showered yet. She still got to get dressed. Like it's just, it's just crazy here. So, but I kid you not, like people are telling us that they're going to be running behind. So we're like, hey, okay, because of that, let's go ahead and push the event back a little bit. And we're just like, man, this is just crazy because the timing of everything is messed up. I had to take some of the chicken, put it into the air fryer because I was trying to see if that can speed up the process. But air fryers, especially with that amount of chicken, you can't cook as much as you want to in that period of time. So that was going pretty slow because it was going to take like 20 minutes for maybe 10, 12 pieces of chicken. And I had like at least 90 to 100 pieces. So this just wasn't going to work. So I said, man, we might not have enough chicken. So as the stuff's cooking upstairs, I'm trying to finish my desserts and everything. She's trying to finish her stuff. And the people are messaging us like, hey, here's, I'm here. What about parking? What about this and that for the event? And so we just like, man, we just scrambling because she was more so focused on the decor and the setup. And I'm just focused on the food, but we're still working together to make it happen. So fast forward, I'm upstairs and I still got to make sure the potatoes get warm because even though I've finished the potatoes now, they've gotten cold. So I got to warm these up. Then I got to make sure that the turkey's getting heated again because that's going to cool down. Then I got to make sure the mac and cheeses are baking. And I also got to make sure too that the desserts are warm. So at this point, I'm super behind. The blessing is that people were willing to help and willing to just make sure everything was good because honestly, without the help, we would have been toast. And luckily, some of her friends were there to be able to help with the setup and make sure everything was dope. Shout out to them because the setup was beautiful. Just the whole ambiance in there was just amazing. And we had some of the guys come up and then take like these small trolleys, and they were able to take some of the food down. So I was able to, luckily, with this newer oven that we had upstairs, get a lot of the food warm, and the food was able to cook pretty fast. So the thing is that by the time that they're there, though, we're behind. So it's probably like 7:15 at this point. So I'm like, man, technically the event's already been started, so we got to make sure stuff's good. So luckily, people were telling us that downstairs, everybody's having a fire time. This is just, people are good. And so before we had ran into the issue of the oven, my thought process is, especially when there's a point of something not working out, I automatically get into a calm zone. Because I know that if I freak out, I know if I go into panic mode, it's not going to be good for anybody because you have to have a person that's going to be there kind of setting the tone. Hey, listen. And this just goes into my mentality. Listen, I know we're behind. I know stuff's messed up. What can we do now to make sure everything's good? What can we do to make sure that we at least taking advantage of what we have here? Like, we can't freak out because it's not going to help us at all. And so my thought process was, before people had gotten there, hey, can one of y'all go downstairs and make sure everybody's good, make sure that they conversing, make sure that they, getting uplifted, because sometimes you're gonna have those people that come in where they kind of just standing around, maybe a bit awkward, but once they get some drinks in them, they're gonna be good. So if we get people drinking, it's smooth. So people, knowing that people are in there drinking, having a good time, I'm like, we're gonna be good. So by the time we bring the food down there, they already filled up, they amped up, so now they can be ready to eat. So everybody take the food down. I'm kind of going back and forth between apartments, and I told her to go ahead and get dressed and finish up. So, because she's, my helper for the event, I got to make sure everything's, running good. And so everybody ends up going downstairs. At this point, it's like 8 o'clock. And so we're like, DeMarcus, we got to get downstairs. She's like, DeMarcus, we can't have you not there when people are, about to bless the food and all that. And so I was like, I got to take a quick ass shower. So I got into the shower for 5 minutes. Everybody else is already downstairs. I got dressed in like 5 minutes. And as soon as I got there, one of the ladies, she ended up showing a bit late. And she was like, hey, DeMarcus, I was looking for the spot. And I was like, you're right on time. Like, I'm just now getting down here. I kid you not, as soon as I walked down, as soon as we get off the elevator, the lady that was helping me ended up, she was calling me in the meantime. Right as soon as I got around the corner, she was sitting outside, like saying, like, the workers was waiting, seeing where you were at because everybody, we got to make the event happen. So we came there right in time. I kid you not, as soon as I stepped 2 feet into that door, the energy just shifted in a beautiful way. And it was just the way in which everybody was dressed up, everybody looked happy, people were socializing, people just felt like it just felt as if people just it felt like a reunion. And I attest this to who I am as an individual, who my friend is as well, because when you create atmospheres to where people feel appreciated and also they can bring their best selves, it's always based on the people that are running the show. You know, if people are just going to an event, yeah, there's times where people are going and they're like, hey, based on this atmosphere, you know, I can, you know, boom, boom, boom. But when people know who's setting the tone and people know who are running the show, they're already going to feel comfortable in what you're providing, and because they trust you, right? And I just felt just the energy in the room. People were so happy to see us. People were just like, DeMarcus, thank you so much for getting us going. And I didn't have as much sleep. I've been running around all day. So, you know, I'm kind of just like, my mind's kind of puzzled all over the place. People saying, hey to me. I'm like, you know, just kind of just like trying to process everything. But in that moment, I just feel the weight lift off my shoulders and my body, because now I've created something where people feel good to be here, right? And we told them, we were like, we wanted everybody to go around and make sure they can say something that they were thankful for. We limited it to one word or like one phrase, because, you know, Black folks, like, you start telling everything that you're thankful for from your whole life, and you start getting into a whole sermon. Like, you know, we ain't trying to have church on a Sunday. But everybody got their food. I mean, people, like, it just looked like it was like a family reunion. Like, everybody went around the table, told what they were thankful for. People were telling me how much that they loved the food. And I'm even thinking in my head, I'm like, the beauty of being able to make food and knowing what your skills are. I was like, I didn't even feel personally that was my best work, but people thought that it was great. So I'm like, just imagine how things could be the next time. Like, I haven't even hit a ceiling. So just seeing how people were reacting in that moment, people were just so thrilled to be able to have community, be able to have a space where they could feel that genuinity and feel that authenticity, as I always talk about. People just felt happy, and we had so many drinks, people were having a good time. We ended up staying even after, and having like a little kickback. And just in that moment, as people were playing cards, eating their food, like, that showed me how much community really meant and why I do the things that I do, even outside of cooking. Like, I've always been a person that loves bringing people together, and I've always been a person that enjoys seeing the smile on people's faces. You just never know how much of a moment someone can be grateful for in a time that may seem as if it's not a big moment, because you just don't know what people are going through. Listen, I was thinking, some people may not even be blessed. I won't even say blessed. Some people may not have the ability to be able to go home. Some people may not be able to have a family where they can go to. You know, some people just might not even have a space to where they feel that they want to go to because of the holidays. Sometimes it can be tough for people. Like, people are passing, you know, just different things that are going on. So the fact that, with the help of a friend of mine and others, we were able to create a space to where people could feel grateful for and they were enthusiastic about, that really made it for me. Forget the food, forget everything. The setting and the environment is what keeps me going as an individual. And this is where I talk about building community and creating spaces that people can feel welcome. That's what it's about, because forget all the egos, all that type of stuff. Leave that at the door. You know, whatever you have going on, if you have something that's negative that's going on in your life, let's talk about it. Let's have other people in the room that you can converse with to at least try to help you to get through some of those things. But man, I don't care about how much money somebody makes. I don't care about the title of your job. I don't care about what type of status you've gotten in business. That doesn't mean anything, because at the end of the day, too many people out here, they walk around in these environments like that they have it all going on just because of the status of these outside layers or these, you know, whatever monetary type of things, when in reality, a lot of people are soulless. A lot of people are missing that peace that makes them feel complete and happy. And I've realized that you ain't gotta have necessarily any type of money to make that happen. And I was super thrilled. This longer video that I'm creating, I'm gonna put on my YouTube, but for this piece right here, like, I was just super thrilled to be able to create a space where people could feel welcome and they could feel that they were loved and supported. And for me, for this Thanksgiving, I'm thankful that other people were grateful for something that I was able to create. And I hope that each and every person that left out of there, they felt that they were a part of something. I hope that they were able to feel thankful about the season. If they're not able to be with their family, if they're not able to share, even the holidays in general, like, sometimes you may only get to experience one holiday, from between Christmas and Thanksgiving. Some people may not celebrate it at all. But I know for myself, especially, being in a different city, like, you may not be able to go back home for all the holidays. So the time you get to commune with other people in shared spaces and people that do feel that genuine energy, it feels good. Like, it's something that can last for months. Like, just that feeling of in that moment can last you for a year. And so I'm super blessed to be able to create a space like that. I'm super grateful that everybody could come out and have a good time, and that really filled my spirit and how my faith moves and the person that I am. Like, people can smell that. Like, people can see that in me. Like, there's no type of ego for me that can get in the way of anything like that, because that's a moment where I get to see people feel the most joy in themselves and bring the joy to other people in those environments. So I wanted to create this video just to be able to kind of like do a recap. Again, I'm probably going to chop up part of this for the Instagram. I'll put up the longer video on my YouTube, but that's my Friendsgiving story. Again, I'm super thrilled and can't say enough how thankful I am to be able to have been in a space like that, and looking forward to even doing more events as I continue to brand my food, and even again with some of my other multifacets. Like, I want to put these on different platforms, do other events with those, and I'm just so happy to be able to bring people together and just share a moment in spaces where people can feel grateful and thankful just for being human. Just I'm overjoyed, to say the least. So that's my daily thought and my recap for the day. Peace.